Okay, in this practice, what I want to show you here is like we did just now, we box the expression in order of Pam does. Okay, so let's go first one. Do we have parentheses? P, do we have parentheses? We do. Okay, where is it? X subtract 2. So that goes first. Okay, what about exponents? Do we have that? No, so we just ignore that. What about multiplication division? Oh yes, we have y divided by, so that goes second. So this is just 2 steps, right? We do the most kernel one first and then do the division. And how about the middle expression? It looks really long. So what are we going to do? Same. A thing here is we have 2 parentheses. So what are we going to do with that? We always go to the most kernel one first. So we do the more inner parentheses first. Okay, so now we have y minus z. So that goes first. And then what happened here? All of these. Remember, we will need to have this whole parenthesis. That means it's a unity. So we need to figure out what's inside the unity before we think about all the rest of these. Okay, so inside these parentheses will also apply another of these PEMDAS rules here. So we have parentheses, and then we have, do we have exponents? We don't. Do we have multiplication or division? Yes, we have multiplication division. So what's the division? 8 divided by this whole parenthesis. Okay? And how about addition, subtraction? We have another one that is 3 plus this whole thing. Okay? Then afterwards, what are we going to do? Now, you can just look at this big parenthesis, which is the purple circled one as a unity. So as if it's one number, even though now we are represented by expression. So now we have xy plus this whole purple circle, subtract 6 times 2. All right, so what are we going to do? Okay, next is we again look at that if the expression follows this specific components. Do we have parentheses? And we have already finished all parentheses. And then what are we going to do next? Is we will multiply, or do we have exponents? We don't, so we do multiplication or division. We do have multiplication division here. So we have this xy, even though it's not written out, but when we write them together without any sign or without a dot, like x dot y, it means multiplication. So I'm just going to parenthesize these together. And that. Okay, at the end, what we left with is just addition and subtraction. And how? It's like something, add a whole purple box here, and then subtract a whole green box here. Okay, and then when you do the calculation, you have to figure out what's inside first, right? So after you figure out what's inside first, the last step you would do is just do all of them together, to all of these together, which is this first element, add the second one, and subtract the third one. All right? Okay, so next we start practice this one. Do we have parentheses in this expression? We don't. How about exponents? We do. So if anything that is squared or raised power to a certain number, we have to include that number with the with the power. So that means this square must have a base. And in this case, it's x squared. Going to change our color. X squared. If this base is parenthesized, we will need to do the base first. We will see that in the next example. And then we have another exponent here. So now, after finishing these, finding out the x squared and y squared, you basically have a subtraction left. Like something subtract something else. Okay, so we will do this whole thing the last, or that part the last. Okay, and how about this one? We will go to the x squared, y squared, and then this parenthesized whole thing is another square. So what are we going to do with all of these? Same, let's do with the order. We do with the parentheses first. Which part is the parentheses? The whole thing. However, are we able to find the parentheses directly? No, then what's inside the parentheses? We need to again apply this PEMDAS rule. So inside the parentheses, we have squares and cubic, and then we have subtraction. So that means square and which exponents and the cubic, they will need to go before the subtraction. So we do that and that first, and then we do this subtraction, and then we square the whole thing. So basically what we have here in something, okay, which is squared already, subtract something, and this is parenthesized, and then with a square, right? So now this whole thing is in a brown box. And then we add z. So what we left with here is this whole thing with this brown box plus z, which is addition only. So we just do this whole thing, brown box plus z at the end. All right. So with that being said, let's just apply a number here, okay? I'm going to delete them all. Say, in this example, xy is 3 and 2. Okay. Okay, now I'm just going to write this 3 times 2 plus 3 plus 8 divided by 4, subtract 2 minus 6 times 2. Okay, so what are we going to do? Like we did before, we will always do the parentheses first. If we have more than one parenthesis, do the most kernel one, the inside. Okay, so we get that. 4 subtract 2 is 2. Okay, and then what are we going to do first? 3, we have inside this big parenthesis, the outer parenthesis, we have 3 plus 8, now divided by 2, because we already calculated this. And we now know that the order goes with priority of multiplication, division, relative to addition. So we will do the division first. So we will do the division. 8 divided by 2, we got 4. And then inside the parentheses, we have 3 plus 4 left. 3 plus 4, here we get 7. That means the whole parenthesis here resulted in the number 7. All right, so now that's much easier, right? So it's basically becomes 3 times 2 plus 7 subtract 6 times 2. Now what are we going to do next? We basically will do the multiplications first. That means we do that and that. Okay, so 3 times 2 will give us 6 plus 7 subtract 6 times 2, 12. And then the last will be just addition subtraction, and either order will be fine. 6 plus 7 is 13 minus 12 will give us 1, right? Okay, so this is just one example for us to calculate that. Yours would it be similar when you do calculation? It may not be as complicated, but just keep in mind, use this unity concept and apply the rule.